Imagine a 10,000 square kilometer expanse where land and water trade places every 6 hours. Driven by violent tides, this terrain is never stable. To survive, trees evolved pneumatophores, jungle fingers jutting from the mud. Choked of oxygen, these roots shoot upward to pull air directly from the atmosphere. The Sundarbans operates as a flawless, self-sustaining machine. It thrives in extreme conditions and maintains its own balance, completely indifferent to human existence, until we try to enter it. Meet the apex predator of the mangrove labyrinth, the Royal Bengal Tiger. Unlike any other tiger on Earth, this specific population actively hunts humans. This chart compares the global tiger population of roughly 3,900 to the isolated group of 100 to 150 living in the Sundarbans. That small subset is responsible for an estimated 50 to 100 human deaths every year. They possess intense physical adaptations for this waterlogged world. They have developed muscles that allow them to swim up to 30 kilometers through open, saltwater currents just to ambush a passing boat. Locals tried to outsmart them. For years, workers wore masks on the backs of their heads to deter ambush attacks, since tigers rely on striking unseen. It worked briefly, until the tigers learned to recognize the trick and simply bypassed the masks. This leaves scientists with an unnerving question. What specific element of this environment triggered such a distinct shift in tiger behavior? The first scientific hypothesis points to the water itself. Everything in the Sundarbans, from the river currents to the fish, is highly saline. Drinking it puts the tigers in a constant state of chronic dehydration. That severe lack of fresh water physically alters their brain chemistry, triggering a state of aggression rarely documented in mainland tigers. The second theory focuses on the unstable ground. The shifting, deep mud of the mangroves is an incredibly brutal habitat for land animals to navigate. Because of that treacherous terrain, natural prey like deer are scarce. A massive predator requires thousands of calories to survive, forcing these tigers into a perpetual search for alternative food sources. Every day, thousands of fishermen and honey collectors, known locally as the Bawali, navigate the labyrinth. To a starving predator, these workers represent the most consistent and accessible meal available. The third hypothesis traces the behavior back to human activity. During the 1970s, parts of the Sundarbans saw large-scale industrial logging operations to clear the land. Habitats were decimated, native animals starved, and the bodies of human workers killed by accidents or early tiger attacks were frequently left behind in the dense jungle. Desperate, starving tigers scavenged those remains. In doing so, they learned to directly associate the human scent with a viable food source. This timeline illustrates how that event became an inherited cultural trait. Mother tigers taught their cubs to view humans as prey. Over 50 years, that single learned behavior cascaded down the family tree. What began as opportunistic scavenging during an industrial boom has effectively been codified into the local tiger population. But that lethal reputation serves a highly functional purpose. The terror generated by these predators acts as an impenetrable biological shield, keeping widespread logging and mass human settlement out of the mangroves. Left untouched, the ecosystem operates as a massive planetary lung. The Sundarbans absorbs 4.2 million tons of carbon dioxide every single year. The dense root networks also form a physical wall between the violent ocean and millions of people living further inland. When Cyclone Amphan hit the coast in 2020 with winds of 185 kilometers per hour, the forest absorbed the initial impact, dropping wind speeds by 30% before they reached populated cities. By enforcing its borders and keeping humans out, the predator guarantees the survival of the forest, which in turn protects millions of human lives. The tiger can guard the forest from local axes, but it cannot fight global carbon emissions. Looking at this map of the Sundarbans coastlines, the true threat becomes visible. As sea levels rise, the ground these tigers defend is physically sinking into the ocean. This destruction is already underway. Entire land masses like Lohatra Island, once holding thousands, have completely vanished underwater. The danger within the forest keeps the ecosystem standing, and it is that density that shields the entire region from the rising sea. Nature doesn't need humanity to save it.
It simply needs us to respect the deadly boundaries it has drawn.
We are merely tenants here, and the tiger is collecting the rent.